The Nascar family, like so many others, is hurt and angered by the immensely troubling events that have taken place across our country in recent weeks. For us to heal and move forward as a nation, we all need to listen more and be united in a stand against racism, hatred, senseless violence, and loss of life. And we must all hold ourselves accountable to driving positive change. While our sport has made progress over the years, there remains much work to be done, and we fully embrace our responsibility to help bridge the racial divide that continues to exist in our country. We must do better, and our commitment to promoting equality and inclusion continues and will never waver. Of course, the introduction to that video was NASCAR's statement over all the riots and protests and looting that's been happening across America over the last week or so over the death of George Floyd. May he rest in peace. After George Floyd was wrongfully taken from us by a corrupt cop. I'll tell you right now, racism does need to fucking be addressed. It needs to change. Racism needs to fucking go. Like, let me ask you, NASCAR fans, are you tired of having the same fucking racist stereotype every fucking time? Because we've had to deal with, NASCAR fans have to deal with the racist stereotype for how many fucking years? And it never goes away. Because keep in mind, folks, it hasn't even been 3 months since Kyle Larson dropped the N-word. And here we are. Here we are. I'll talk more about it at the end. I'm going to talk more about the races that happened this week. Before I get into what happened at Atlanta this weekend, I'll address what happened in the Xfinity race at Bristol that I missed, but I did catch the highlights of what happened between Noah Gragson and Justin Allgaier. All I say is, can Allgaier even catch a fucking break anymore? Like, this is getting fucking ridiculous. Like, Noah Gragson pretty much dumping his own teammate to win the Xfinity race at Bristol. That's some shady ass shit. Like, I understand every driver for themselves, but, I mean, come on, Gragson. You really had to dump your own teammate to win? Like, I understand hard racing, and I understand it's every driver for themselves, but fuck. Where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line in the hard racing your teammate situation? Where's the line drawn? Maybe NASCAR should have team orders, because, you know, if we had team orders, that shit wouldn't happen. Or maybe it would if there were no orders. Because if there were team orders, one of those two would have been told to back off and hold position. But this is not F1. This is NASCAR. But yeah, that's some shady shit by Gragson to have to dump your own teammate for the win. Disappointed that Gragson couldn't beat Allgaier straight up and had to dump him. Honestly, I have no more respect for Gragson. That's some fucking shit. Like, there's a couple things you don't do. You never piss in the holy water, and you never dump your own teammate for the win. I honestly hope Gragson doesn't get the 48, or so help me God. Anyway, let's move on to what happened this weekend. So, trucks happened. So, Truck Series, race was fucking terrible. Kyle Busch dominated the majority of it. Chase Elliott was in it too to try and get another $100,000 bounty. You know, try and get some more money for the charities and beat Kyle Busch again. Kyle Busch had this truck race in the bag. He had the meaningless win in the bag until Jordan Anderson had issues, went up the track, and then Kyle Busch made a rookie mistake and went straight up into the wall to try and squeeze with the gap between Anderson and the wall. A gap that wasn't there, and Kyle ended up in the wall and had a flat tire. Kyle also sped twice on pit road. And all that put Kyle Busch 3 laps down and out of the race and out of contention for the win. But here's the question, though. I have for Kyle is, what the hell were you thinking there? Kyle, you're a 2-time champion. How do you make that kind of fucking mistake? Kyle, if you see a truck going up the track, you go low. You go to the bottom and avoid them. You don't try and squeeze up high through a gap that isn't there like a fucking kamikaze. Goddamn, Kyle, you're a fucking dumbass for that. But here's the thing, though. Is it Kyle Busch's fault? Absolutely not that Kyle lost this race. Kyle blames NASCAR for it. Because NASCAR didn't give Kyle Busch the caution he wanted, and Kyle called them all a bunch of assholes. Kyle, where is your professionalism? Seriously. When are the excuses going to fucking end? When are you going to man up and take responsibility for your fucking actions? God damn it. But then again, Kyle, you had no business being in the truck race, so...
Enough from the clown!
And oh yeah, Kyle also complained about only getting $25,000 from Chase from the bounty to Kyle Busch's foundation. Kyle, be glad that Chase gave you money. Chase could have been a complete Be glad that Chase was a gentleman to give you that cash. Chase could have been a complete asshole and fucking gave you nothing. Whiny ass prick. But yeah, after that, after Kyle Busch's rookie mistake, Austin Hill ended up getting the lead. Austin would hold on to it until 3 laps to go, when Chase Elliott got a flat tire that sent the race to overtime. And in overtime, Austin Hill then proceeded to throw the race away. Grant Enfinger would pass him on the last lap, and Enfinger would get the win. So now Enfinger has 2 truck wins. In fact, Enfinger's the only Truck Series regular to win this year. So now Enfinger's trying to make up for last year, after Enfinger got embarrassed by being the first regular season champion to be eliminated in the opening round of the Chase Grid era. Hey, that's a solid start. But yeah, let's move on. Xfinity race. Probably the best race all weekend. Now, there was actually a lot of different leaders, a lot of comers and goers. This was also a dash for cash race. So there were no leeches in it. Man, isn't it weird, huh? Isn't it weird that when the leeches are taken out of Xfinity in trucks, the races are good? Isn't it weird how that works? Isn't it weird? Like, can we just keep Cup drivers out of the fucking Xfinity and trucks full time? Can we just make that a daily thing? Like, come on. There's no reason Cup drivers should even be in Xfinity and trucks. Same deal for Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott had no business being in that truck race to begin with. Especially after he already claimed the bounty. So yeah, really, the bounty really lost over Prestige after Charlotte. But yeah. Anyway, let's get on to what happened at the end. This race had a surprise winner. Probably one of the big what the fuck moments of this season. AJ Allmendinger. A driver that's famous for winning on road courses and rovals. AJ comes in, and after 13 years of being in NASCAR, AJ Allmendinger finally wins on an oval track, winning at Atlanta for Colleague Racing. What? What? Allmendinger won an oval? You folks want to know how you know 2020 is a fucked up year? You know 2020 is a fucked up year when AJ Allmendinger is winning on a goddamn oval track. Especially Atlanta, of all places. What? What? AJ won on a fucking oval. And then AJ also kissed the camera. Don't worry, AJ, knowing NASCAR's track record, you ain't gonna get jack nor shit for violating social distancing. Considering NASCAR has had issues enforcing it in the Cup level, or they enforce it very poorly. So don't worry, AJ, you're fine for kissing the camera. But, yeah, AJ Allmendinger, congrats to him on finally winning an oval race. Only took you 13 years, but hey, you're respectable in your own right. But yeah. Anyway, let's get on to one of the bigger races that happened this weekend. We got IndyCar finally back at Texas. This time for real. Of course, no fans in the stands. IndyCar race, IndyCar is better off opening at St. Petersburg. Maybe they go back to St. Petersburg as being the opening race next season. Because, less said about Texas, the better. Congrats to Scott Dixon on the win, though. But that race was fucking terrible. Like, that race, Newgard and Dixon, had a very, Newgarden and Dixon had a good battle to start the race, but once Dixon got the lead, he effectively controlled the race since then. He pulled away and never looked back. Like, not much really happened. Then again, Texas has really been a complete shit track. Like, the only reason Texas races suck now at Texas Motor Speedway, the only reason the races suck now is the reconfiguration. Ever since they repaved the track, the quality of racing at Texas has gone downhill. Since that repave. Since the repave, it's gone downhill. Like, before they repaved the track, it was one of the more exciting and more better races of the season. But ever since they repaved and reconfigured Turn 1, it's gone downhill. It's been one of the worst races of the year, especially in the Cup Series, too. So yeah, and of course, for IndyCar, the next race they have is July 4th weekend at Indianapolis. I'm just wondering for IndyCar, why the hell there's no races in between now and July 4th. Like, you could easily have 2 or 3 more races from now to July 4th. Try and make up some of those dates you lost from the whole pandemic. Like, bro. Like, I don't get it. I don't get that scheduling. That's so fucking dumb. It's like we waited so much longer for IndyCar to come back, and as soon as it's come back, it's like, yep, we're gone again, friends. See you in a month. It's like we waited that much longer for one race, and then they're gone again. Fuck, that rescheduling is so fucking stupid. They could have easily had 2 or 3 more races from here on out to July 4th. Make up some of those dates you lost. For sure. But yeah, anyway, let's get to the Cup race in Atlanta. Oh boy. Oh boy. This race was a complete fucking disaster from start to finish. Let me say this here. When the most exciting part of your race was stopping the cars before the race, stopping the cars on the front straightaway, and having a moment of silence to listen, to honor, to do a peaceful protest because of all the fucking racist shit happening in the last couple weeks in the country over the whole George Floyd death and Breonna Taylor and etc. When that moment is your best part of the race, there is a fucking problem. Straight up. Nothing really happened. This race was a complete 3.5 hour waste of time. Race dominated, won by Harvick, of course. Even though Martin Truex won the first 2 stages, Harvick just had the flat out better car. Just Truex was able to put himself in position near the end of the stage, while Harvick was thinking the bigger picture. So, yeah. This race was just a complete waste of time. But yeah, maybe a word of advice is we don't have Atlanta this late in the day. Because, Bubba Wallace, passing out after the race. From staying up because of heat exhaustion. Because we are getting into the summer months. And yeah, it gets fucking hot in those cars for damn sure. So yeah, hopefully Bubba Wallace does well and recovers. But yeah, and of course Bubba Wallace made a statement this week when he wore a Black Lives Matter shirt where it said, "I can't breathe." Salute to Bubba, Yeah, salute to him. Because of all the shit that's happening in America right now. The country's literally on fire with all the riots from the death of George Floyd, of course. But yeah, anyway, back to the race. Yeah, this package sucks. We've known this package fucking sucks. Like, how many more bad races are we going to have before we actually change the fucking package? Like, isn't it a coincidence that Bristol was one of the best races this season? Because they have the 750 horsepower package. And that created better racing than what we had today. Then again, it's a short track, so go figure. Like, seriously. Why the fuck do we have this stupid-ass package? Who the fuck asked for this package? Who the fuck asked for it? All I gotta say for this package is, take the fucking splitter off, take the tapered spacer off, get rid of side force. Do those 3 things to the car, problem solved. Also, keep the rear spoiler where it's at and keep the aero ducts. But yeah, get rid of the splitter, tapered spacer, and side force. Bring the engines back to 800 to 825 horsepower where it should be. Like, seriously, why the fuck do we have this package? It's so fucking terrible. Nobody asked for it. Oh yeah, Hendrick Motorsports was also pretty mediocre today. At least Jimmy Johnson was the highest finishing Hendrick car today. Like, Chase Elliott was a non-factor all race. This is like the first race all year Chase Elliott didn't have a race-winning car at any point. Even though he started on pole, that was he only led like the first 25 laps of the race, and then after that he went downhill. Like, this was the first race. All the Hendrick cars were pretty terrible. But yeah, Atlanta sucked this year again. Like, remember when Atlanta had good racing? Those were the days. Also, back when Atlanta had good racing, we didn't have this stupid-ass package. Notice how when we started lowering the horsepower, the Atlanta races started getting to become shittier and shittier. Isn't it weird how that works? But yeah, this package is a fucking abomination in NASCAR. Get this shit out of NASCAR quickly. And we still gotta wait till 2022 for the Gen 7 car. God, 2022. Can 2022 get here fast enough? Fuck. At least the one positive from this race is at least Kyle Busch and Joey Logano didn't win. So I guess we got that. The one news we did have from NASCAR is Nashville's coming back in 2021. Nashville Super Speedway, a track that's been out of business for 10 years, is back. Okay, not really out of business. It's been more like a tire testing track, and they use it for the Rusty Wallace driving experience. But yeah, Nashville's getting a cup date in 2021, replacing one of the Dover races. I think part of me feels like that's just a desperate ploy for Nashville Fairgrounds and for NASCAR and SMI to renovate and build up Nashville Fairgrounds so we can go back racing there. Hey, if it works, it works. Hey, at least it's not a mile and a half. Nashville Super Speedway's a mile and a third. So, it could be an interesting race. We'll have to see what happens in 2021. I have doubts with this package, though. And, of course, Formula 1 is finally going to be back in the start of July with the doubleheader in Austria. So, yeah, that's good. So, yeah, isn't it weird? I told F1, I said if F1 could get off their ass and get back to it, that would be great. Yeah, 1 week after I said F1 should get off their ass and do something, they got off their ass and did something. Just like clockwork. Sometimes Uncle C-Rad knows what he's talking about. But yeah, anyway, Atlanta out of the way. Let's talk about what happened in the world. If you want to click the video off and don't want to discuss mainly politics and stuff, go right for it, So yeah, for what happened with George Floyd, I've been trying to stay out of this as long as I possibly could. Because, I don't like to talk politics. But really, what's been happening in the last couple weeks, it's forced my hand into this. So, I'm going to talk about what happened. The riots, I already know why the riots are happening. Only reason the riots are happening is because the media took what happened to George Floyd and twisted it to get a reaction. Because what happened to George Floyd and Breonna Taylor what happened to George Floyd specifically was that an innocent man was killed by a corrupt cop. What the media did was twist it to say a black man was killed by a white police officer. The media did that to get a reaction. And guess what the riots are? A reaction. So in other words, folks, you just gave the media what they wanted. You gave the media a reaction, which is what they wanted you to do. So congrats, folks. You bought right into the media's bullshit again. That's it. I don't like to go to violence or anything like that. I always like to do things peacefully. That's why I've always been more in favor of peaceful protests over riots. The looting, that one makes no goddamn sense. The looting is just utter fucking stupidity. That does not solve racism one bit. All I see with looting is opportunists. It's just people trying to take advantage of a situation. It's just a situation where people value being a complete piece of shit if a human being is the most important thing right now. Like, let me ask y'all something about the looting. Is this what George Floyd would want? Is this what he would want? And hell, folks, you can't even play the race card on the riots and the looting, considering that white people have been taking part in those too. So that race card is completely out the window there. But yeah, some does need to happen. The cop needs to be fucking held accountable for his actions. Honestly, some does need to be done. Change does need to happen. Honestly, folks, is it too dark if I say I want the judge to take the book and beat the shit out of the cop with it just so the cop can learn how George Floyd felt? If I said to you that's what I would want, would y'all say that's too dark or just right? Or not enough? But yeah, you know what the crazy thing is right now? Out of all the cities in America protesting right now, the one that's been doing it peacefully the best has been Detroit. You want to know how you know 2020 is a fucked up year? When the city that is most likely to riot in this situation is the one that's actually being the most peaceful. Because I bet you a lot of people would say, they looked at the list of cities in America and they have to pick one easily to riot the most during this kind of situation. A lot of people would point at Detroit and be like, that city. And yet in this situation, Detroit's been the most peaceful. Like, every peaceful protest they've had over racism so far has started and ended peacefully. Including the one on the Peace Bridge to Belle Isle the other day. That one even had members of the Detroit Lions and the Detroit Pistons taking part in it too. Including Detroit Lions head coach Matt Patricia and Detroit Pistons head coach Dwayne Casey. Like, it's been the other way around. But hey, shout out to Detroit. Shout, to all my friends in Detroit. Because, I got a lot of Lions and Detroit sports fans that live in Detroit that I'm good friends with. Shout out to all of them for keeping it peaceful and not doing anything fucking stupid. Don't worry, someday I'll be back in Detroit with you at the Lions games or Red Wings games or Pistons games or Tigers games, you name it. To raise hell with all yous. I'll be back one day. Just not right now. But yeah. Yeah, racism, it needs to be addressed. Like, everyone should be treated equally. I'm not one for conflict. I've always said before, I don't care what your race is. I don't care what religion you are part of. I don't care what ethnic you are. If you're a nice person and you get along with me well, I'll get along in exchange too. Because there's that old saying I was taught. Treat others the way you want to be treated. I treat others the way I want to be treated. With respect. I treat you with respect. I expect you to treat me the same way too. I was also told, by my mom that if I had nothing nice to say, don't say it. Yeah, that's been true too. Yep. And honestly, all the really protests is also done in this as of late. It's really shown that the coronavirus may have been just a hoax all along. Because notice how in the protests that there have been no new cases in any of the cities that have been protesting since it all started. Notice how weird that is. How weird is that? Something suspect here. So yeah. And keep in mind, this is all happening in an election year. Because keep in mind, folks, 2020 is an election year. And oh yeah, there are reports about the NFL anthem protests coming back. So yeah, you got that too. Let me be real, the protests have never been about the flag. It was always about police brutality and racism. Anyone that thought it was about the flag is a fucking idiot. Plain and simple as that. But yeah, 2020 has really sucked this year. It's like ever since Kobe Bryant passed away, the world has gone downhill and completely down the shitter since. Because we had a COVID-19 pandemic, then we have the fucking murder hornets, now we have the fucking riots for police brutality and racism, Like, what's next? Are we gonna have fucking aliens and UFOs crashing into the Earth all of a sudden? Like, I swear to God, the fucking aliens are next. And next thing you know, on my channel, I'm gonna have a video of me in the fucking field next to my house, filming a fucking UFO that crashed in the fucking field. That's what's gonna happen next. Knowing the fucking cycle of this world. Like, goddamn 2020 has sucked ass. It's been one fucked up year. Like, can we just have this year end already? Fuck me. Or can we at least just get some NFL football back? God damn. But anyway, I'm done this review. That's all I got to really have to say. For Atlanta race, 1 out of 10 rating for me. At least we get a short track race on Wednesday at Martinsville. So, yay. Let's just hope Martinsville isn't as shitty as last year. But anyway, that's all I got to say, folks. Hope everyone's a great day. Peace out and stay safe during these tough times.